Very important about Kabir. Kabir always inspires us to analyze. Kabir always inspires us to think about. He's not a kind of personality or a spiritual figure who blocked anything. That's why you see, whenever when you start reading about Kabir, he will say, Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. I'm saying, listen, think, analyze. If you find it worth, then accept it. If you're talking about liberation, then it is important for you to shatter the boundaries. So Kabir is actually inviting us on a big avenue, on a big backdrop where everything is clear. That's why he's saying, because few people are entangled by certain rituals in mass, few people are entangled by certain rituals in temples, and they are doing what they are doing, but they are not trying to understand the reality. So Kabir is inviting them. That's why he's saying, Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Yes Talks. The title of today's session is Says Kabir, Listen, Dear Seeker. Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. Let me introduce our guest speaker. It is our pleasure to welcome Umesh Kabir, a renowned spiritual teacher, author, and trustee of the Kabirchaura Math. He is widely respected for his deep work on the teachings of the 15th century mystic and saint poet Kabir and other Nirgun Bhakti saints. Umesh Kabir is the co-author of Unseen Paths, Spirituality and Consciousness, and his talks seamlessly blend Bhakti poetry, Kashmiri Shaivism, and Sufism to offer a transformative spiritual perspective. He has spoken at leading institutions worldwide and continues to inspire audiences with his message of unity, inner awakening, and timeless wisdom. Welcome, Umesh, sir. We are so glad and honored to have you with us on the Yes platform. Thank you so much for joining. Looking forward to the session, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And it's really nice to be the part of Yes Talk. And I think we are trying to connect from last, I think, 4 months. When once I was in Delhi in India International Center, and I met Bijlani ji over there. And then I visited the ashram, and it was such a beautiful ashram. It was the first time for me to visit that ashram, and I visited the ashram, and I was like speechless. Such a strong place. And then I've been invited for giving a talk here. Thank you for being a part of this session. So today we are going to talk about Kabir, and I think most of us know about Kabir, but I'm just going to set a background, little bit about Kabir, and then we'll come to the topic. There's one couplet of Kabir where Kabir said, which is very famous couplet, you might have heard about that couplet, where Kabir said, पोथी पढ़ पढ़ जग मुआ पंडित भयान कोय ढाई आखिर प्रेम का पढ़े सुपंडित होय. And many more. So actually, what very important about Kabir? Kabir always inspires us to analyze. Kabir always inspires us to think about. He's not a kind of personality or a spiritual figure who blocked anything. That's why you see, whenever when you start reading about Kabir, he will say, Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. I'm saying, listen, think, analyze. If you find it worth, then accept it. That's what inspired me a lot. Kabir Sahab has given us full freedom. He's not saying, I had experience the true knowledge, I have experienced that super consciousness. Now, you know this way, the way I have known it. He's giving full freedom. He said, I have experience in this way, and I'm telling the way I had experienced it. Now it's over to you, Kahat Kabir. I'm saying, listen. So that's what actually attracted me a lot. Because even if we go through the concepts of bhakti, there's two things, like there's two ways, the Nirgun Bhakti and Sagun Bhakti. So Nirgun Bhakti, Kabir follows the Nirgun Bhakti, which is, I can call, the toughest form of bhakti. Because when you come to the Sagun, where there's a form, where you can see, when you can touch, where you can offer, it's very simple to worship. But when it comes where you cannot touch, where you cannot see, it becomes very tough. So Kabir was talking about this Nirgun Bhakti from Varanasi, where I am living. And I'm quite fortunate that I got an opportunity to live in Kabir Math. Kabir Math is a place where Kabir spent his whole life of 120 years. And you see, he spent his whole life, and I would like to share a few facts about Kabir. Like, there are certain resources by which we can understand Kabir. I would like to share, because nowadays what is happening, people are just going through internet, they are finding certain couplets of Kabir, certain sayings of Kabir, and then start talking about Kabir. So you might be interested in future. So there's a few books on Kabir. First, I'll just give a little bit of about it, and then, so there's a first book which is called Sakhi. It's a, like, where it's a compilation of couplets of Kabir. So it has 84 parts, which we call Chaurasi Ang Ki Sakhi. Means it has 84 parts, 84 topics you can call, like the truth, non-violence, love, true love, Guru, Sadguru. This kind, it is divided in 84 parts. And where Kabir is talking, like when he start talking about Kabir, then when he start talking about Guru, he will tell everything. Who can be Guru? What can be the attributes of Kabir? How to recognize a Guru? Like everything. And then another book which is related to Kabir, that is called Bijak. Bijak is the main, and we people who follows Kabir, we call it authentic book of Kabir. Why? Because still we have, like, the manuscripts are available. Still those manuscripts are available, which is written on Kabir time. And then the another book which is called Shabdavali, like we used to sing songs of Kabir. धीरे धीरे, like जरा धीरे गाड़ी हाँको मेरे राम गाड़ी वाले, मुझको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास. Whatever you are listening, different people are singing those bhajan. It is compiled in Shabdavali. And then another book where you will find the Ulat Basis of Kabir. Ulat Basis, actually, it's quite complicated to understand. Ulat Basis you can call upside down, like where he will talk about, एक अचंभो देखो भाई, ठाढ़ा सिंह चराए गाए. I have seen such a splendid wonder where lion is protecting the cow. Now, sometimes we understand, okay, how it is possible? Because if you see the lion eats cows and other animal, but he's protecting. So that's compiled in another book, which is called the Ulat Basis. And then the last book, which is called Mahabijak. It's like the big one, like a Ramayana. So if you go through these all things, then you will understand Kabir in totality. Then, like, because what is happening, that's what I'm facing actually at different places when I go to give talks. What happened over there? People have many questions which they brings from which they bring from internets. So I've just told you few resources which you can read. Now come to the point. Kahat Kabir Suno Bhai Sadho. So the first question, what Kabir was trying to tell us and why he was trying to tell us. This is the relevant question. Because if you go through the couplets of Kabir, some places you find where Kabir was iconoclast. People will say that Kabir was iconoclast. Why? Because he might be speaking in mosque, where he will be questioning uh, the Muslim people, where he will be saying like Kakar Pathar Jori ke Masjid Lai Chanaye, Tachar Mulla Bang De Ka Bahira Hua Khuda hai. So he will be questioning the Muslim people. He will saying, "Oh my dear Muslim brother, you just collected bricks and cements and make a beautiful mosque, and now early in the morning you're shouting. Do you think your God is deaf?" You see, he's saying, he's questioning. He's saying, do you think your God is deaf? He's saying, चीटी के पर घुंघरू बांधी सो भी साहब सुनता है. If you see the ant, which is I think smallest insects, if anklet is tied in his feet, Almighty can listen it. Then why you're shouting early in the morning? If you see, you might think that Kabir was speaking against mask. No, Kabir was not speaking against mask. Again, he's saying, Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. And then he might be standing around temple where he will be saying a different business over there, and he will just ask people, पाथर पूजे हर मिले तो मैं पूजूं पहाड़, ताकि घर की चाकी भली पीस खाए संसार. If you worship idol in a temple, which is smallest stone in the eyes of Kabir, so he will ask, if you think that just because of worshipping small stone, statue you can call, if you can get a god, why you're not worshipping mountain, the big stone? Again, here people think, oh, Kabir was iconoclast. He was speaking against Hindus. No, Kabir was not speaking against temple. Kabir was not speaking against mosque. Again, he's saying, question yourself. When you are at certain places where these things are taking place, don't you have the questioning mind? Don't you think that you had been conditioned by certain things or circumstances and you are thinking about it? So Kabir is inviting us to shatter those boundaries. Kabir invites us to shatter the boundaries of differences, a different kind of differences. If you see, sometimes we say, no, you are a woman, I'm a man. Even there is a boundary. Kabir said, no, if there is a boundary, you cannot realize that. If you're talking about liberation, then it is important for you to shatter the boundaries. So Kabir is actually inviting us on a big avenue, on a big backdrop where everything is clear. That's why he's saying, because few people are entangled by certain rituals in mass, few people are entangled by certain rituals in temples, and they are doing what they are doing, but they are not trying to understand the reality. So Kabir is inviting them. That's why he's saying, Kahat Kabir Suno Bhai Sadho. And again he's saying, I'm saying, you listen. I have felt this in temple, I had felt this in mass. Now it's your chance. You go and see. Do you find it worth? Do you find it right? If you find it right, then let me know. Don't let me know. You just understand and follow the path. So this way Kabir invites us. And some places he said like, Kabira khada bazaar mein, liye lukatha haath. जो घर जा रहे आप ना चले हमारे साथ. So he's saying, I'm standing. Where am I standing? I'm standing in a market. And I have the torch, the light, the torch in my hand. I had burned down my house. Now it's invitation for you. Are you ready to burn down your house? But then there's a question, which house? Kabir Sahab is not talking about the house which is made of bricks and cements and all, like we have made the beautiful house. Kabir Sahab is talking about a house where ego resides. this house. And again, he's inviting. And where there is invitation, there's option also. So Kabir Sahib is not compelling us to do that. He inviting us, and he's saying, you see what I'm saying, you analyze it. If you find it worth, then accept it. That's how the Kabir is so beautiful. And he expresses. Suppose when he start inviting, when he's saying, I'm standing in a market, the few more thing which is related to spirituality, which is related to our daily life, we need to understand. Sometime what we do, we misunderstood Kabir. You see, if you start reading about Kabir, Kabir Sahib is standing in a market. He's not sitting in the room. He's not reading different books. He's not collecting information from different books, but he's standing in a market and he's experiencing the life. So what happens with us when we start studying about Kabir Sahib, we misunderstood. Why? Just you imagine if you are standing in a market. When you are standing in a market, you are available for everybody. So a child can come and ask a question. A sadhu can come ask a question. A scholar can come ask a question. A householders can come and ask a question. A potter, a barber, a tailor, anybody can come and ask a question. Now, when he's standing in a market and he's talking to different people, and when he's talking to different people, he is trying to make them understand the reality in their language, the way they can understand. Kabir Sahib is trying to make them understand the way they can understand. Suppose if you're talking, like just you think about yourself. When you are in our house, you're talking to a child, almost you become a child. You make them understand the way they can understand. Suppose you are talking to your father, who's such an intellectual person. Now you make him understand the way he can understand. If you're talking to your wife, so you see how you are changing your way to make them understand. That's why when we go through Kabir, it is very important to understand the context to whom he was talking. And everywhere, that's why he's giving freedom. Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. So he had given us a freedom, and through freedom we can get liberation. That's why when Kabir Sahib start talking about moko kahan dhoonde re bande, main to tere paas mein, na mandir mein, na masjid mein, na kaave kailas mein. There is a negation. But if you go the last line, खोजी होत तुरत मिल जाऊं पल भर की तलाश में. There is condition to become khoji, to become seeker, true seeker. So whenever I narrate the saying of Kabir, I always go through one of the story which my Guruji used to tell me. He might have heard from somewhere. So he was just telling the story. Umesh, do you know? Once what happened, there was a young man and he decided to choose his guru. A young man was living in village and he decided to choose his guru. So he thought, let's talk to some intellectual person who can tell me how I'm going to recognize my guru. How will I recognize my guru? So he contacted one scholar. The scholar was just sitting outside of the village. There was a tree and there was a monk or scholar. He was sitting under it. And he went and he contacted and said that I want to search my guru. Tell me, how can I recognize my guru? And that man, that a sadhu or a monk or a scholar, who he was, he just tell him some attributes. He might have a big beard, he might have a long hair, he might have this kind of cloth, whatever he told. Now that man started his journey to find his guru. The story goes like that. He traveled at least like approx 30 years and he was trying to find a guru. He went and he researched, he talked to people, but he was not finding a person where he can match the qualities which has been told by that man who was sitting outside of village. After 30 years, he get frustrated and he came back to village. And now when he was about to enter the village, he saw a man sitting under the tree, and he saw, because he was quite far, so he saw all the attribute which has been told to him before 30 years by the scholar. Those all attributes were available in that person. Then he came closer and then he saw, oh, he's the same person who told me the attributes. He's the same person who told me the qualities. Now he was like, he was very angry. He said, you just ruined my 30 years. If you very firstly, if you told me that you are my guru, why I have gone to search my guru for 30 years? And that man smiled and told, I've told you that time. But that time you don't have this eye to recognize me. So this 30 year, what you think that you lost, actually you develop pal bhar ki talas mein. You develop that moment where you can recognize. So now you are able to recognize who is your guru. You see. So again, you see, when I go through this story, I think, okay, so this 30 years was what? For what? For searching, to analyze, to think, to evaluate. So in this 30 year, he was doing it. But when that moment comes, he knows that he is my guru. So this way, Kabir gives us freedom to analyze, to understand. And that's why he said, Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. He said, I'm saying, you see, Kabir never imposes anything on us. That's the beauty of Kabir Sahib. Now, there are certain things, because it is our first session and I think we are going up. Just please indicate me when my time is up. So I think still we have 10 minutes.
So whatever flow you have planned, it is fine. 10, 20, 25 minutes. It's going very beautifully. Please take your time.
So I'll take 10 minutes and then maybe the people want to ask a question or something the way you told me.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I would like to bring you in different perspective of Kabir. So once I remember a person asked a question. Kabir was a poet. Because if you see in a school life, you might have read some couplets, some doha. We call it Saki, some couplets of Kabir. Yeah, Kabir was a poet, but he was writing a poem of life. That's why even today Kabir Sahib is relevant. That's why even today people are talking about Kabir. Who will write? Like, you think that there's a place where Kabir is saying, आप ही दंडी आप तराजू आप ही बैठा तोलता घट घट में पंछी डोलता आप ही माली आप बगीचा आप ही कलियां तोड़ता. You are the gardener, you are the garden, and you are the one who's plucking the flower. You see how the Advait is coming. So you see how Kabir Sahib is writing the poetry. Now we need to research this point, that you are the garden. How? You are the gardener. How? You are the one who's plucking. You can see it. Obviously, if you go in a garden, you can see it. But here, Kabir Sahib, when Kabir Sahib is talking, it's a sure that he was not talking about the garden, what he's saying. He was just using this metaphor to make us understand. And then he will say, हर घट में तो आप बिराजे जड़ चेतन में डोलता. Wherever I see, it is living or non-living, everywhere you are. Who is that you are? to whom Kabir is indicating. So most of the places Kabir talks about Ram. If you see Kabir talks about Ram, he will say, but we need not to misunderstood Ram, because nowadays what is happening, people are confused about like the Ram, because there is two Ram, the Dasrath son's Ram and then the Ram who comes from Kabir. So obviously Kabir Sahab has, like in his couplets, he told us, I'm not talking about the Ram who is the son of Dasrath. He's saying, I'm talking about a Ram who never comes and goes. Because it's always Jaya so Maya. What comes and goes, that is Maya. So in his own Sakhis, he said, Ek Ram Dasrath ka beta, एक राम जो घट घट बैठा, एक राम का सकल पसारा, एक राम जो सबसे न्यारा. एक राम दशरथ का बेटा. So he's taking, everybody knows about the son of Dashrath, Ram. He's very famous. People are talking about. Ek Ram jo ghat ghat baitha. And then another Ram who is actually inside, like everywhere, wherever you see. Ghat ghat, jahan bhi dekho wo hai. Ek Ram ka sakal pasara. The another Ram, the third Ram, who has created everything. Sakal pasara. Ek Ram jo sabse nyara. And then the fourth Ram who don't have to take anything with the creation or destruction. And Kabir is saying, I'm talking about that Ram. And that Ram can be found through analysis. And that analysis can be done when we are ready to break down the conditioning. Because we are so much conditioned. The informations, the knowledge being passed by somebody, and we are accepting that, and we are saying, okay, this is the truth. Spiritual journey is not a kind of journey when you can borrow the knowledge. Spiritual journey is your own journey. Spiritual journey is a journey when you have to burn down yourself. As scholars, gurus can help you little bit. I'm saying little bit. But if you're not ready to burn down your house, it is quite impossible. And for burning down that house, it can take maybe 30 years, maybe 50 years, maybe 2 years. I don't know that. It's up to the person. So Kabir Sahab is giving us that freedom. He's saying, you see, whatever I'm saying, if you really want to understand that you are a garden, you are the gardener, you are the plucking flower. If you really want to understand that consciousness, then you need to burn yourself on different ground. So for that, he has given certain things. Like the first thing which he talks about, the purification of body. The first thing which comes in our mind, that is purification of body, where Kabir said that, okay, सच बोलवाओ, झूठ नहीं बोलना चाहिए ना, सांच बराबर तप नहीं, झूठ बराबर पाप, जाके हृदय सांच है ताके हृदय आप. So saying the first rule, start speaking truth, which is quite impossible nowadays. Then he will talk about love. He will say like, प्रेम न बाड़ी उपजे, प्रेम न हाट बिकाए, राजा परजा जेहि रुचे शीश दे ले जाए. He will say again this word prem. It is very important to realize it, because nowadays what we are doing, we are saying, okay, I'm fallen in love with somebody. We need to be little aware. When do you fall? When do you fall? You fall when you are not aware, when you are not conscious. So falling means you are going to break down, like you are going to break your bones or maybe some part of your body. That's what's happening in our life. We've fallen in love, and then after some time, what happened? Kabir is not talking about fallen in love. He's saying prem na badi upje. If you're thinking that you can grow the love in the field, you cannot. Prem and heart bikay. If you're trying to buy a love from market, it is impossible because it is not available in a market. It's not sort of things what you are, because people are trying to purchase love through gifts. Kabir saying, no, it is impossible. He said that you can buy the fallen in love. Isn't the another thing which is very important? Being in love. Where there is an understanding. But even Kabir is not talking about this, the second type of love. He's talking about be love. And that be love cannot be grown in the field, cannot buy in a market. Prem na badi upje, prem na heart bikay. Raja parja jeh ruche, shees de leja. Whosoever want that love, they would have to cut their throat. Sheesh de leja. Again, when he's talking about sheesh de, he's not saying you cut your throat from here. He's saying the ego, the logic. Everything's from here to here. So when you surrendered for it, then only you can get that love. But what is happening nowadays? We are saying, so I remember one of the wonderful incident from my life. I was just going somewhere by auto, and that auto man was like, he had just put some song in his auto, and the song was that मैं भी खरीदार हूँ, मैं भी खरीदूंगा, प्यार कहाँ बिकता है, पता बताना यारो. So saying, I have a lot of money, I have tremendous money, I can buy love. Just you tell me where it is available. Where it is. मैं भी खरीदार हूँ. I'm the great buyer. I have a lot of money. But Kabir is not talking about that love. He's saying, no, you cannot grow love in a pond. You cannot buy it from market. Only you have to. So it is important. So Kabir talks about truth. He talks about love. Because when that loves come in our in our personality, when we feel it, when that love is available for it, or we are available for that love, that's a very difficult job. So Kabir Sahab is talking about that love. If you are ready for that love, then only you can purify yourself. Then only you can start testing that love of the love of the divine. You can divine love, then only you can feel it. But we are not ready to it. Then he start talking about like जीव मत मारो बापुरा सबका एक है जीव. Sometimes people ask a question that Kabir is talking about non-violence. He said like, you see, the बकरी पाती खाते हैं टाकी खाटी खाल, जो नर बकरी खाते हैं ताको कौन हवाल. We like non-veg, but Kabir will say no, don't kill. He'll say बकरी पाती खाते हैं ताकी काटी खाल. He's trying to make us understand. He's saying, you see the goat, she eats leaves. Bakri pati khate taki kati khal. And people eat the bakri, the goat. He eats the leaf and people eats the goat. Now you think about who is eating the goats, what is going to happen with them. So again, he's saying, we need to purify this also. So he's talking about it. And then he's saying, दुर्बल को न सताइए जाकी मोटी हाय, मुई खाल की श्वास सो सार भस्म हो जाए. Again, so today I don't think so I'll be able to just put all the things over there, but Kabir indicates towards it. First you purify yourself on this ground, on physical level. Then you purify yourself on mental level. To meditation, practice it. That's why he talk about Kriya Yoga. That's why he talk about the Sahaj Yoga. He talks about meditation. He said like, you might have heard the sayings of Kabir who is saying, Ras gagan gufa mein ajhar chhari. It's one of the deepest meaning. And how can we realize it? When he's talking about a certain juice is coming from the cave. What is that cave? What is this nectar which is coming from that gufa, that a place? So if we understand those things, I think so, we will be able to start understanding Kabir Sahib. And then, like, he will touch all the perspective. And then after touching the perspective, he will say, oh, so now you are free to analyze. Kahat Kabir, Suno Bhai Sadho. He will talk about his journey. That's why we believe that Kabir was the experienced philosopher. He was not a kind of philosopher who was just sitting inside a AC room and just, writing a book. He was experiencing the life and he was telling that truth to people. And even after having that experience, he was saying, I am saying, my dear seekers, my dear brother, listen, analyze, think, meditate, contemplate if you find it worth an experiment. So that's how Kabir Sahab told us the spiritual way for us. That's how we can understand Kabir. Arunima ji, I think 8:41, and I'm actually just I'm on time. So now invite people if they want to ask a question, if they have anything to ask.
Of course. Thank you so much, Umesh sir, for your thoughtful, deeply insightful, and inspiring talk. Your words invited us into the timeless wisdom of Kabir Sahib with such clarity and depth. And this was a really beautiful and calming session in a way. Thank you so much. And as you suggested, we'll open the session to the participants. We already have someone. Nitya, you have raised the hand. Please go ahead.
Hello. I
Hello.
hope you can hear me, Arunamam.
Yes, I can hear
Yes,
you.
All
yes.
right. Yeah. Umesh, thank you so much for the talk. I think it was a very beautiful talk. And I think for somebody like me who has a very limited understanding of Kabir, this was, I think, an invitation to find out more about him. So thank you for that. Again, I think from my limited understanding, how I would just like to share a few words on how I see Kabir.
Yes, please.
Um, I think Kabir and his messages were, for me, the epitome of secular spiritualism. I understand that a lot of people have different meanings of what secular could be, but for me, it's a very inclusive thing, and I feel with Kabir, there is something for everyone. So the fact that I don't believe that he propagated any particular religious tradition, and the fact that he seemed to make devotion a very personal thing instead of a collective thing. I think that is something we might need today the most when religion or spirituality has become a very collective identity. Kabir is a great reminder, I think, that God at the end of the day is a very personal, very lived experience. And I think that is what I get when I listen to Kabir's dohes. So, how accurate do you think this is in terms of, being very inclusive and something for everyone?
You are absolutely correct. I don't want to comment anything, whatever you said. I accept whatever you said. So I don't think so you need any comments. I agree. I totally agree with you.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitya.
Thank you, Nitya. Chidananji, you have raised the hand. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you very much for this talk. This is actually my first talk being in South India, know little bit of the Kabir. Thank you very much for enlightening us. I just, the way I understand when I'm listening to you is that he used a lot of metaphors in the part of the dohas. I know it all depends upon how actually I interpret it. We don't know what actually he meant it. Probably it is a dimension of you. Umesh is talking about that what is the Doha means are. Particularly when you are talking about the different Ramas, in your talk, that made me think loud. Oh, okay. I guess there is a different metaphors in which we can see that particular party. So I'm just curious, when you are reading it, what is it your interpretation and how do you see it? Okay, I know Kabir said something. You assume that three people read the same dua. Probably they may have three different interpretations. It's the first time I heard about the way you actually articulate about the different Ramas are. It's not a Dashrath Rama. I'm talking about something else. I'm just curious to know a little bit of the interpretation of, great, a person like Kabir's work.
So, Chidananji, thank you. Thank you for asking this question. So, as Arunimaji introduced me, like I belong to the tradition of Kabir. So, when I was just 17-year-old, from that time, I'm living in the house of Kabir, where Kabir spent his whole life. So, actually, I'm surrounded by the people. The Kabir tradition is the tradition of Guru and Shishya Parampara. So even there is a tradition alive, which you can call the Kabir Panthis, the people who follows Kabir. So in this ashram, actually, because this is the house of Kabir, so the knowledge is being passed on by the people, like the people who were around, who were living around the Kabir in Kabir time. They pass that information to somebody else, and that master passed that information to somebody else. This way, that information comes to me. The first thing. So actually, I have received that information. I can say the way I'm illustrating that the illustrations from my guru, who actually told us everything about Kabir, because where I'm living, every day we have certain sessions where we can talk, where we can analyze. So this way, this is the one way what I understood through Kabir. But actually, after that, there is certain it's a way where you can understand the couplet of Kabir. But when Kabir Sahab started talking about the practices, because he talks about the practice, he said, whatever I'm saying, you cannot understand only if you understand the meaning. You can understand these couplets when you go beyond the meaning, which is actually the sadhana. So there's many couplets which you will understand through sadhana. So the first thing, traditions, and then few scholars of our ashrams, they have written a book. So we read that book, we experience that knowledge, and then we understood this way. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think you pretty well summed up. In fact, I'm from Bangalore, from the Karnataka region. I know Kabir is a pretty well-known saint. We have a similar person, probably of the same era, called Shishunal Sharif. Okay, he also has a very, similar lines. You call Doha, something like we call it here too. And where also, like you exactly mentioned it, it's a sadhana. The way you listen, the way you interpret it, the way you beyond reasoning, you will get a meaning of that. Otherwise, you can just, if you see the literal words it is framed, you get a more materialistic meaning of that. If you go a little bit beyond, you'll see the beautiful, interpretation of that. Thanks for bringing that insight. Sorry, I didn't know your background. I think you are blessed being in the same place where he also lived it. Thank you very much. I'm also blessed because I'm listening to you today, Umesh.
I'm just adding one more thing, Chidananji. Actually, I remember when I started learning Kabir, I was I was 17-year-old, and I think when I become the part of ashram, what happened, because I was little studious person, like I love reading books. So I remember that time I was living in very small ashram, where right now I'm living. That was not that ashram, the another ashram. I started my life from there. So I think within 6 months, all the books which were available in that ashram, I read every books over there. And then I was puzzled because I was understanding the interpretation, but I was not understanding what Kabir Sahib was trying to tell. I remember there was my guru, the first guru, Ram Das Ji, and he was a great meditator. He just called me, and while smiling, he said, "You finished all the books?" I said, "Yes, I finished." And he said, "You are confused?" I said, "Yes." But I was more confused at how he's knowing that I was reading the books, because I was reading all the books in my room. I never shows that I'm, and he said, "Okay, you want to understand Kabir?" I said, "Yes, I want." And he said, "Then you have to come early in the morning, 4 o'clock every day, and you need to sit with me." And then he said, "If you missed one day, from that very day, I'll stop teaching you." I said, "Okay." And when I started sitting with him, and then I started understand the deepest meaning what Kabir Sahib was trying to tell us. And later I come to know that he was illiterate man. Do you believe it?
Mm.
But the way he make me understand the sayings of Kabir, the sadhana of Kabir, truly speaking, I got opportunity to meet so many great scholars, so many great gurus, but I never got that. So somehow those informations, I'll say those knowledge, those wisdom came from my guru. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you, Umesh Ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So, Palak says, heard Kabir Das Ji's Doha usually in bhajan, and your insights gave a new perspective.
Thank you, Palakji.
Participants,
So
anyone else wants to share something or ask something?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Umesh ji, for such an enlightening session. And
thank you.
you're blessed, and we are in turn blessed through you that we got to have. Because when I was young, my mom used to recite Kabir couplets. Like one I remember, कबीरा संगत साधु की जो गंधी का बास, जो गंधी कुछ दे नहीं तो भी वास वास. I used to think, okay, literal meaning somewhat we used to get, and she used to explain also at times, but we used to ignore. But listening to you, I mean, my mom is no more. Last year she passed away. So, but I really remembering her, and she used to not only this, many couplets she used to recite, like while working in the kitchen, getting up in the morning, like prayer. So, they are deep, I mean, symbolic or literal meaning may be something, but the interpretations are so very deep. So I could revisit that through you. Thank you so much. One more thing I want to ask is that one couplet which you say, Bakri Pati Khat. My mom also used to recite that. But at that time, I never used to pay much heed. So I want to know, meaning of this in more depth, actually.
So what Kabir was trying, actually, first we need to understand that what he was trying to convey through that couplet.
Yeah.
You see, like when we kill something, maybe for eating, we kill goat and we eat it.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, because I don't have that experience of eating something like that, and I don't know the taste of it.
Yeah, me too. But still, I want to know about it.
So here Kabir Sahib was he was talking to the sadhak, to the seekers.
Okay.
He was saying actually, "Oh dear sadhak, if you really want to grow on the path of sadhana, then it is very important for you to recognize the pain of others. You need to recognize the other's pain, like, because when you are giving pain, when you're killing somebody, you are giving pain.
Yeah.
So actually, he was trying to tell us, you recognize that pain, And that's
Oh.
why he used the metaphor. And somehow, sometime Kabir become very strict also, you know. He's like,
Okay.
he will hammer us actually.
Yeah.
So when he said, he's also warning us. He's saying, you see the bakri, the goat. He's eating the tree which is alive. That's what he feel, because the trees have.
Yeah.
We are not
Living.
going through the science way, it's
Mm.
understanding the Kabir way, because then we will go in debate. So he's saying bakri eats leaves, which we feel there is a life. So he's eating life. But you see, it's life, and then people are eating the bakri, the goat. So he's a warning. If it
Oh.
eats the leaf, the people eats bakri. Now you are eating bakri, what is going to be with you?
Okay.
Yeah. Are you getting my
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
getting what I'm trying to tell?
Yeah,
Here he's very
compassion and
strict.
empathy.
He's
Okay.
saying, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's saying, you see, if bakri will eaten by the people, then now you are eating the bakri, where you will go.
Okay.
So that's what actually Kabir sometimes conveys meaning and become very strict also while telling us that. So he's actually here. I feel he was warning to people, because we people are not ready to accept everything simply.
Okay.
So, but his purpose was not to give pain to any
Okay.
life. Yeah, not to give pain to any life.
Yeah, yeah, got it.
Yeah,
More compassion and empathy. That's important.
yeah, that compassion and
Because
empathy.
if you give pain, you'll also get pain in turn,
Yes.
not only proteins. Yeah,
Yeah.
fine. Pain and fear and all that. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mridula ji.
Yeah, and where is that ashram where you're living? Kind of
It is in Varanasi.
Varanasi.
Have
Okay.
you been in Varanasi?
No, not exactly.
So next time
Never.
when you are coming, next time you plan Varanasi, come visit
Okay. I would
and
love
see the
to.
place. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you. Sonal ji has raised the hand. Please go ahead.
Yes. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Sunil, you are audible.
Yes. Sir, I had a small question. कबीर साहब अपने भजन में ये शब्द झीनी इसका बहुत प्रयोग करते हैं. चदरिया झीनी रे झीनी, गगन में आवाज हो रही झीनी. तो इसका मतलब क्या है, झीनी का मतलब? ये मैं समझना चाहती हूँ.
So, Chadariya Jhini Re Jhini. You know, Kabir was a weaver by profession. Yeah, so he used to weave a cloth. So now the technology is so advanced, even people are not weaving the cloths on the loom. But when Kabir was weaving the cloths, he was weaving on the loom. And you say Jhini means, which is like a kind of transparent, which you can see from this side to that side. So when he's saying, we need to go through whole couplet. चदरिया झीनी रे झीनी, अष्ट कमल का चरखा डोले, पांच तत्व की पूनी. You see. So झीनी झीनी means, I feel, I know, the path of sadhana is very subtle. It's subtlest. It's a transparent. So that's why he's saying ast kamal ka charkha dole, panch tattva ki puni. So what is that ast kamal? If you go in yoga, you will understand the kundalini and all. And then you know that the body is made of out of 5 elements. Panch tattva ki puni. And then he talks about the breath also. But when he starts talking about these things, he actually talks about the transparency of the transparency of that divinity. So saying it's very transparent. You can peep out of it. Means be aware about it. You need to be very conscious about it while doing everything, because it's transparent. Whatever you're doing, it can be seen. You can visualize it. You can analyze it. So you can analyze means be aware. And then again, if you go another couplet of Kabir, he will say, "Moti maya sab koi tyaje, jhini taji na jaye." Huh? He's saying like, if you say the moti maya means the house, the relationships, and everything, the worldly. People are ready to leave it. But Jhini Maya, so when he talks about Jhini Maya, he talks about the Jhini Maya is ego. It's envy. You know, Jhini Maya, Moti Maya सबको इत्यादि झीनी तजी न जाए, मान बड़ाई ईर्ष्या. So we're always behind where we want to being honored by people. We want respect. And he's saying when we want respect, that Jhini Maya. You know, when we want like when there is an ego, that's a Jhini Maya. Jhini. So that's where he's indicating. So Jhini means which is very subtle on the way of divinity, you can say it, on the way of knowing yourself. So it's very subtle. You need to be very aware about it. Does it make sense?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Participants, we still have questions. Akash Ji, you have raised the hand. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Are you on mute, sir?
Thank you very much, Umesh Ji, for a very, I would say, subtle sharing your experiences from the values and which Kabir Ji has written for us. Just one curious question came to me. For many of our, the philosophers and spiritual philosophers, I would say, especially I see in the case of Sri Aurobindo Ji, he went through a very tough time. A time came in his life where he was really, put behind the bars, and there was a case against him for whatever he was writing. For Kabir Ji, is there any episode which is like, where he rose from the bottom up, or it just came very naturally to him? Is there anything?
Akash, you just asked such a nice question. Actually, Kabir's life was full of these kind of bubbles, He was in the family of the weaver, and then he was in Kashi, he was in Varanasi, where on the one hand he was talking Kakar Pathar Jodike, on the other hand he was talking Pathar Puze Har Mile. So both the Hindus and Muslims were behind the Kabir. And if you go through the historical facts, Sikandar Lodi, actually in that time Sikandar Lodi was the king, and he tried to kill Kabir. So his life was full of, these kind of things. I was not able to just go through that way, but if you just read about Kabir, his life was full of pain. And he was very, the wonderful thing is that actually he was a weaver, and weaver means a person. I think for a weaver, it's quite impossible. It's quite impossible to think that way, the way Kabir thought, because weaver are busy in collecting bread and butter. They don't have time, and they cannot earn much. But Kabir was like, he was a weaver. He was weaving a cloths. He was selling in the market. But every time there was the monk and sadhus and the scholars around him. So he has faced so many problems in his life. By King Sikandar Lodi, Bijli Khan Pathan, Birdev Singh Baghel, there are many incidents. I hope when we'll meet and sit together, then we'll talk about it. But his life was full of problems, full of, these kind of things.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. We look forward to listening to you again and maybe coming down to Varanasi to meet you in person. Another small incident I wanted to share with you. I was once a trainer in Wipro, getting these young students, onboarding of them. And one of the girl who was there, she said she was from the Kabir sect. And apparently I asked her, so as part of their sharing, we encourage them to leave their past behind. There is a one behavioral training module where we ask them to say what moment changed you as a person. So then she said, I have nothing. I said, there has to be something. So I encouraged her once again. But after a while, she said, no, sir, I have nothing. So I said, no burdens, no, nothing. So she said, no, sir, I follow the Kabir sect and we have actually given everything away. So we don't attach to any, so I don't have any grievances. I don't have any trouble, any problems. I just, I'm good. So then I said, what is your aspiration then? She said, sir, our aspiration is just to leave this planet very, very in a happy way. And that's all I have. And so I said, then, how will you manage Wipro and the client customer requirements? And she said, sir, I'll manage. I'll somehow manage. I said, fine. But she did well. And, but that was another small episode I had. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Actually, the first teaching which is given to us, stop expecting, start accepting. So what is given, we accept it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Anyone else is there? So I don't know, you people might know that I'm coming in Delhi and I'm staying in ashram for a week. So I'm coming on 9th and then I'm there till 14th, I think.
Yeah, I
So
think your session is on the 10th Sunday. You are speaking in the satsang, I believe. Yeah.
yeah. And then few evenings also mentions over there. They said you will be in the evening, so you might. I said okay. I don't know, but I think.
Yeah, I have. So Arunima ji, if you just allow me another 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So Umesh ji, I just I sometimes I have. I don't know how it happened, but I landed up in Barefoot College, Tilonia, Rajasthan, and there I meet Ram Nivas ji. Ram Nivas ji is into puppetry, but he's also from the so-called, their own backward class. So he's from the low backward obese or backward classes. मतलब नीचे के जनता, नीचे के लोग हैं, ऐसा वो उनको मतलब डेजिग्नेशन है. लेकिन फिर भी वो भी ऐसे कई सारे पोएम्स बनाते हैं और गाते हैं, मतलब लोगों में जो मतलब तो वो मतलब छोटी छोटी जो हमारे करंट इश्यूज को ही बोलते हैं, लेकिन वो भी बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सारे ऐसे कपलेट्स तो नहीं लेकिन थोड़े बड़े वो बनाते हैं. मतलब इज अ प्रेजेंटर ऑफ पपेट्स. तो वो पपेट के द्वारा वो लोग गांव गांव में जाके शो करते हैं, मतलब अबाउट हेल्थ, अबाउट एंड बट वो इसी तरीके से मैं उनमें थोड़ा सा कभी कभी झलक देखता हूँ कबीर जी की, लेकिन वो थोड़े लॉन्गिश चीजें बनाते हैं. हाँ
जी, thank you Akash ji for sharing. Would love to meet sometime.
Thank you, sir. So before closing today's session, let me quickly inform that the recording of today's session and all our Yes Talks are published on our YouTube channel, Yes Spirituality. You can visit the channel and explore extensive content on yoga, education, spirituality, and related subjects like psychology and wellness. Umesh ji, thank you so much once again for sparing your valuable time for all of us. And thank you so much for such enlightening interactions also. And participants.
Thank you Arunima ji. Thank you to all of you. Thank you the participants.
Sorry, but may I ask one question, sir? Like we read about, I'm educationist, basically teacher educator. We read about all philosopher, and even psychologist also, about the Western philosophy, sorry. But like Kabir ji and, our own people, like they are nowhere seen in that context. So if there is so much of literature and things are there, so I think, are we working in that direction?
Yes, actually, Mridula ji, as you said, you are the educationist. I used to go in university, in college, in schools, and there are literatures are also available. So we are doing a great actually in that field. At my place now, lots of children are coming, and we started talking to school children. They are coming, and we are talking about Kabir. So yes, there are literatures available. You can find it, and we are working on it. And actually, I have designed so many workshops where and so many schools like a DPS and so many famous schools, they used to call me for workshop for a week. And where I talk about Kabir, and then I teach students Kabir, and then I tell them how to become Kabir. So yeah, we are doing it.
That's very nice. Yeah, maybe. And somewhat, that scientific and that authentic recognition also, that kind of things also we all need to work towards. I think you might be doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you
Namaskar.
so much,
Thank
Umesh
you,
sir.
everybody.
Yeah, participants, thank you for joining today. We'll close today's session now with a moment of peaceful silence. Namaste.